Ladies and gentlemen, welcome everyone. I am Andrea Bencsik. I am a professor at the University of Pannonia in Veszprém in Hungary and at the János University in Komárno in Slovakia. You can see that Slovakia and Hungary are neighboring countries in Central East Europe. Our culture is based on Christian religious values, which is relevant for our research. The title of my presentation, Well-being in Higher Education, Empirical Research based on the logic of the GNH, Gross National Happiness. I have divided my presentation into the following main parts. First, I will show you why this topic is important. After that, I will present the research aim and method. I will highlight only very shortly the gross national happiness and I will summarize the results of the survey, and at the end I will show you our conclusion. Why this topic is important? In the scientific literature, there has been much criticism of the GDP as an instrument for monitoring the performance of economies because it focuses only on factors that can be quantified precisely. However, it ignores the soft elements that sometimes have a greater influence on performance. Criticism of GDP have led to the emergence of several studies that have developed new indicators specifically to classify soft factors. However, even these haven't proved to be flawless and new research is needed. This is all the more so since, mainly due to changes in labor market expectations resulting from COVID, employees have different expectations of a job than before. New concepts have emerged, such as well-being, organizational happiness, likable workplace, etc. There are many problems in the education system in our country and around us. Students, teachers, professors are dissatisfied and unhappy. Nowadays, the research of happiness is a popular topic, and several approaches deal with its definition and measurement possibilities. Three related concepts used in the study. These are satisfaction, happiness, and well-being. All three concepts are difficult to define, and there is no agreed definition for any of them, most of them being defined in terms of each other. Based on the literature review, their meanings are used in our study as follows. Satisfaction is a mental or emotional state of contentment when one has accepted one's situation. Happiness is an emotional state characterized by pleasure and a sense of contentment, including positive emotions and satisfaction with life. Because happiness is generally understood as a broad concept, psychologists and other social scientists use the term subjective well-being when discussing happiness. Subjective well-being generally refers to an individual's overall current feelings about his or her personal life. Following this terminology, our study identifies three levels of happiness. The first is pleasure, the hedonic happiness, the level of satisfaction. The second is well-being, which refers to engagement and the release of feelings by completing a task or goal. This high level of experience is referred to as flow. The third level correspondent to Aristotle's eudaimonia. This level of happiness is characterized by inner harmony, purpose in life, personal growth, constructive relationship, autonomy, and a general sense of psychological, physical, and natural balance. This situation triggered our research, looking for a holistic indicator that could measure both the results of economic activity and the level of satisfaction of employee needs. This is the basis for the aim and methodology of our research. The aim of the research is to find a holistic indicator that meets the above requirements and to test this indicator in practice. After reviewing the literature, we choose the GNH of business solution. Although the method was first developed for a societal level, a version for the business domain has been developed in recent years. We formed our research questions. First one is, can the original method developed for measuring GNH be adapted to domestic different cultural and religious conditions without changes? The second one, what conclusion can be drawn based on the results of the examined areas regarding the strengths and weaknesses of economic higher education? The third one, what role do subjective elements, at the same time parameters that allow their measurement, play in the final result? And the last one, is it possible to compare with other previously developed indicators that prefer to measure values beyond GDP? GNH research at a societal level has been attended by several nations with their own cultural and religious values in mind. Using the Bhutanese logic and calculation method, Thailand, Brazil, Japan, Taiwan, UK, Netherlands, Sweden, etc., have also conducted studies, the result of which can be read in the literature. Studies in a university setting were conducted by a Malaysian university. The Bhutanese index provided the inspiration for the development of their index called the Gross Institutional Happiness Index, and measures the happiness level of both students and teachers. The authors consider the research important because they believe that happy educators are more willing to accept changes, are more motivated in their goals, and they can teach and support their students more effectively. This index, GIHI, was developed based on the holistic approach and measures the same 9 domains as the original GNH. The authors conducted their first pilot research in a unit of Taylor's University School of Engineering in Malaysia. What is the GNH, Gross National Happiness Indicator? I need to tell you some additional information about GNH. The indicator was developed in Bhutan. You have to know that Bhutan is a very small closed culture country between China and India at the foot of the Himalayas. Its form of government is a democratic kingdom. These are the characteristics that underline their thinking, combined with a Buddhist religious outlook. Bhutan's fourth king has formulated that the government shouldn't be about increasing GDP, but about increasing the happiness of its people. This thinking led to the development of the GNH model. GNH has a holistic approach to measuring people's happiness and well-being. It consists of four pillars. These are good governance, preservation and promotion of culture, environmental conservation, sustainable and equitable socio-economic development, which can be further divided into 9 domains. These domains, psychological well-being, how people feel about their quality of life. It includes, among other things, the degree of their satisfaction with life and spirituality. Health, it describes people's physical and mental health. Thanks to a healthy lifestyle, unnecessary fatigue and unnecessary stress from daily activities. Time use, the importance of work-life balance to live a harmonious life. It includes working time, time spent sleeping, and leisure time. Education, beside the knowledge gained through formal education, it assesses the knowledge, values, and skills acquired through informal learning. Living standards, it focuses on financial security that is measured through income, financial security, and housing, among others. Cultural diversity and resilience, examining the diversity, resilience of cultural heritage. Community vitality, strengths and weaknesses of community relationships and social interactions. It gathers information about the cohesive power of society and the topic of voluntary activity. Good governance, how people value different government functions. It examines the existence of individual right and freedom. Ecological diversity, how people value their immediate environment and their attitude towards environmentally friendly activities. These domains are broken down further into 33 indicators. The results are accompanied by a questionnaire survey, which is carried out every 5 years in the form of a representative survey. In addition to the need to measure overall societal happiness, there is also a need for organizations to develop an indicator based on similar thinking. The Prime Minister of Bhutan suggested adapting the previously developed indicator to the organizational level, an option first presented at a conference and published in 2017. I have to note that an improved version has since been produced. It was presented in the last year. You can see the model. The figure shows the model developed. As I have mentioned, it contains 9 areas, but they are separated into 2 parts. One part provides a measure of employee happiness. The other part measures the organizational conditions that underpin the creation of employee happiness. Again, the measurement is based on a questionnaire survey, one completed by employees and the other by managers. About the evaluation, how are the survey results evaluated? It can be seen that a very simple weighted average calculation is used to rate the 2 areas, and then a simple average of these is taken to obtain the happiness index for the organization. The next some slides show the research results. We wonder whether the Bhutanese questionnaire, regardless of religious background, could be applied in other religious and national cultures. Therefore, we translated the original questionnaire into our own language and examined the questionnaire in our local higher education institutions. It should be noted that the conditions of education, funding, and staff salaries are far below those of the for-profit sector. So we were particularly interested in the opinions of higher education staff. The research was therefore carried out in the faculties of economics of domestic higher education institutions. All domestic institutions participated in the research. The staff questionnaire were completed not only by lecturers but also by other staff, giving a more complete picture of the situation. Deans and directors were asked to rate the organizational conditions by completing the second questionnaire. As I have mentioned in the course of the research, we use the original questionnaire, G&H of Business, preserving all areas, indicators, and questions for professional loyalty. In some cases, it was necessary to use Western vocabulary and make some corrections for clarity and professional consideration. For example, working hours, pay, spirituality, scholarship, etc. The results of the questionnaire survey were calculated at the organizational level as a whole and can be interpreted as an indicator of organizational happiness. As individuals were interviewed, the calculation are valid for the individuals in first step. And then, based on the calculation method, the results can be interpreted at the organizational level using the date of the questionnaires filled in by managers. So the questionnaires were evaluated in two steps. The first one summarizing staff opinions. It can be seen that each of the 5 areas is given equal weight in the evaluation, with the weight within the areas being adjusted accordingly. The level of values in each area shows which ones were absolutely and urgently needed to intervene. According to the analysis, each of the employee areas requires less thinking and more attention since they reach approximately one-third of the 20% weights. With a small difference, but to an almost equal extent, there are shortcomings, except for one area, which qualifies living standards. Here they achieved a very low value, which has long been a neuralgic point in higher education. Indicators indicate problems that can be related to salary, benefits, and recognitions. It is not surprising that the greatest dissatisfaction can be felt here, as it is known that there are significant gaps in higher education compared to the business sector. In the psychological well-being area, problems with job satisfaction and negative emotions arise primarily. Looking at the questions of the indicators examined, it means that overall they are not quite satisfied with their workplaces and feel stress, disappointment, and frustration more often than acceptable. At the same time, it should be mentioned that colleagues trust one another and their superiors, don't feel discrimination too often, and positive feelings frequently appear in the dominant way. The positive assessment of organizational trust strengthens employee performance, cooperation, and successful operation of the organization as a whole. It indicates the presence of an ethical environment and employee commitment. Dissatisfaction appears in the case of work schedule in the area of time use. Flexible working hours received particular positive assessment among teachers. And in the area of education, the opportunities for development and training received very low scores, which can be assessed as positive because the learning needs of colleagues are emphasized, but the lack of opportunities of their funding cause dissatisfaction. At the same time, scholarship opportunities received an outstandingly high evaluation. The second part of the survey shows the views of deans and rectors. The logic is similar, with the total value of the area surveyed being 100%. So each area is given a weight of 25 here. The results are compared to this. In terms of organizational conditions, we found results in one area, which was related to employee retention and the management of generational problems. The fact that the area of good governance received the highest score should be seen as particularly positive. This is the result of the harmonization of employment, workplace guidelines and regulations, levels of fluctuation and income. Research shows that employee engagement, job satisfaction, compensation, rewards, recognition, and transformational leadership are significantly associated with intention to quit. The area of community vitality also received quite high scores, where community donation was qualified as the weakest indicator. Employees rarely volunteers except for the activities related to the promotion of education. The two areas that are significantly underestimated are cultural diversity and ecological diversity. Shortcomings in both areas are to be found in the indicators of donation, promotion of national and cultural values, and voluntary activities. In addition, there are serious problems in the area of environmental protection, insufficient attention to the emission of treatment of harmful materials, and the shortcomings of donation are also highlighted. Summarizing the happiness index of the domestic higher education in business, we obtain the following result. This, based on the rating table, implies that urgent and immediate interventions are needed in certain areas. The table is also part of the methodology developed. It can be seen that if an organization achieves the highest rating, it is recognized by the Bhutanese government. At the end of my presentation, I summarized the results. In the research, colleagues working at the faculties of economics of an East Central European countries higher education institution were interviewed, aiming to explore and strengths and weaknesses of this segment of higher education, which can be used to improve employee happiness, its organizational conditions with targeted measures, and as a result improve the quality of education and students' satisfaction. In response to the questions we posed at the beginning of the research, we can say that we have succeeded in finding and applying an indicator that assesses employee happiness and organizational conditions in a holistic way. This means that the hard and soft elements of organizational performance can be measured with similar strengths and are more supportive of a real assessment. With the exception of some minimal wording and some measurement level corrections, the indicators used in the questionnaires are suitable for measurement and rating under non-Buddhist conditions. The values in each area indicated were intervention in absolutely necessary and urgent. Each of the employee domains requires thinking. The quality of life domain scores very low, which has long been a neuralgic point in higher education. Across the organizations surveyed, the staff opinion from different universities results are very similar. In general, positive and negative ratings appear in the same areas. Indicators based on subjective perceptions rated mainly in the area of psychological well-being fit into the categories of areas rating objective values and were rated at a comparable level. They don't appear to bias the results and provide information at the same level as the objective indicators. Besides the formation of a general picture on request, the comparison of individual institution is also possible, and institutional managers can obtain immediately usable information by comparing it with the picture. Based on these, the development strategy can be formulated, risk can be assessed, and the measures taken to seize opportunities can be planned much more precisely. The results of tests confirm the long-known fact that there are serious gaps in higher education in the areas of salary, benefits and other forms of recognition, and that volunteering outside education and attention paid to environmental protection show serious shortcomings. It has been proven that the Bhutanese logic, the calculation method based on the developed measurement questionnaire, can be well adapted to Christian environmental conditions as well, and it provides informative results that can be immediately used in everyday decisions for all interested parties, both in professional and non-professional circles. Thank you very much for your attention.